In other words, if I may just summarize what you've said, was that the executive order was good,
Yeah,
ab initio, in terms of spirit
that's right.
and letters. But perhaps we need to match this very quickly and almost immediately with
Review of the processes.
of the processes.
On procedures.
So the processes, procedures, and infrastructure, whether they are electronic in form or in terms of brick and mortar, need to come in place almost immediately.
To complement these things. Now, I understand they're trying to work around a single window, which is one of the capital points of the digital customs declared by World Customs Organization last year. And the single window will enable a couple of agencies connect to just a single platform that everybody can now see what the others are doing and then get to approve things quickly as they do. Fine, but let's drive with this spirit and get this going, and going pretty fast. We are actually not laying any meaningful foundation for our children if we continue to play this hide and seek game and do not allow the ports to function as efficiently as they should be. I also need to add that by bringing in terminal operators, that's private organizations, they have made tremendous improvement in providing the superstructure that you use to try to execute handling of cargo in and out of the country. And these fellows are doing so well in getting this done. But all we now need is to support them and then get the other government agencies and also private organizations involved in clearing of goods and importation and exporting to do a lot more. Mark you, this season now we are focusing on export of products. So if the port is not good for import, it's certainly not good for export as well. And export really creates that opportunity to create jobs in the country.
Do you think we should go 100% privatization wholesale right away?
Well, privatization should be in different areas where we notice quite a high level of inefficiency. I'll tell you, in the area of scanners, the customs, in my view, should really let go and get organized private guys to handle this scanning activity. That's one major fallout from the fact that Cotedna handed over to them, and they haven't been able to take it forward. Now we have almost the entire thing lying fallow. So that area is important. Another area we may have to look at, that also may come by way of, is the pilotage services. That is usually when vessels come, the pilots take them in. We have to look at that critically to see if there are significant improvements there. Otherwise, we might as well invite the private guys to get in there.
Some of the facilities owned by Nigerian port authorities, whether in Lagos or in Port Harcourt, are still concessioned out. And sometimes you ask yourself, why do we have a Nigerian port authority that is incapable of holding its fort?
The point is simply this. Nigerian Post Authority has a defined role to play in this present scheme of things. In the past, they were in complete control of everything. But now they are the landlords. And they are also the technical regulators of the terminal operators and a few other activities that take place there. So their role is clearly defined. At the moment, they are also handling the piloted services. But their role is clearly defined in this context. And we need to have them. The challenge we have now is simply that if you look at the concessioning exercise, we had three components. It is only the operational component that has actually been done. The institutional component and the other one are yet to be fully implemented. And that's why you have quite some challenges coming up. And then keep in mind that in the new dispensation, the MPA is still a government setup, but largely it works more with private setup. And the private setup structure is always on the go, pretty fast, highly innovative, and moving very fast. And therefore, you need to really be able to reorganize yourself to be able to adapt to the challenges, to the needs, and the requirements of this private sector, because you're no longer in full control. And I think the present MPA boss is really moving towards this direction. All she needs now is the support to try to drive this activity to its logical conclusions. My point here is simply this. Get these three guys out. If necessary, get a lot more out, but please restructure the processes that they are in complete control of, such that the importers and exporters do not get exposed unnecessarily into long movements and so on, which ultimately will lead to extending the time it takes to get things out of the port or get them through the port.
So we're back to the various privatization moves that we've done. We've had presidential committees reforming the ports. We brought in the concessionaires. We sack them at some point. They are corrupt or they are not efficient. Then we bring in another new set of folks. Then we revoke it. Then it looks like every administration since 1999 has its own idea of how this should work. And this is the latest one.
Well, this one is not so different from what we had in the past. It's just simply that when they were asked to leave on October 10, precisely in 2011, we did not go on to see how we can restructure their processes and procedures such that they don't necessarily need to come in there. Now, keep in mind that for certain products, you need to have NAFDAC, for instance, inspecting it. I'll give an example. The drugs that come in here, already made. How are you going to be able to use the scanner to check that? You can't. You just need to take samples and see exactly what they have in there. So for that reason, they should be invited to inspect those things at that material time.
At the ports?
At the port. They should be. You don't inspect it outside. But keep in mind also,
but again, the laboratories are not there. So you want NAFDAC to have laboratories in the seaports?
No, the seaports? They have the laboratories where they don't even carry out the tests at the port. They actually take away the products and then go to the lab to test. But the point I'm making now...
So that delays the good from coming out?
No, it doesn't really delay the good if they get this done pretty fast for things to happen. Now, what is also important here is simply that because of the good behavior and good track records of some importers, the customs have actually given them the fast track. In which case, once your cargo arrives, you now take it to your warehouse, and then inspections and all that will not take place in your warehouse. And that has reduced the time containers spend at the port. All we're now saying is, look at these processes that you've done, improve on them, and then reorganize the activities of these three agencies you've taken out of the port, such that those things that they need to do cannot be done outside without necessarily undermining or extending the time it takes the importers and exporters to visit these offices and get those things done. That's really the focus. That's where we should be headed.
And do we need an executive order for that?
No, we don't. It's still part of the executive order. The executive order is quite interesting, given 48 hours, 24 hours for these things to be done. Let the different agencies sit down now and let them not wait until they get directives from their own ministries before they begin to act on it. That is a sign of resistance.
Now, that is where the human factor comes in here, as far as Nigerian operations is concerned.
One thing that should be lingering on your mind is, when you had all these guys at the port, things that are substandard still came in. So if you take them away, those things will also come in. If you do not restructure properly, you had the entire bulk there, things still came in. So if you take some of them away, you will still have those things coming. But you need to really support this removal by restructuring most of these processes. So let's look forward to the single window that the custom guys said they are coming up with. And they had better do that fast.
Dr. Ojadi, thank you very much. We appreciate getting you all the way out of Lagos Business School, that very fanciful, beautiful facility, academic facility downtown, and into our studios this morning. Thank you very much. It's Friday. Dr. Frank Ojadi, who is a member of the faculty of the Lagos Business School. When we come back, good news from the National Assembly for the Nigerian Stock Exchange, and we're looking at the final trading day.
Thank you.